Hi guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. This is Style by Tay, and if this is the first time you'll be coming across my video, thank you so much for stopping by. On this channel, I share sewing tutorials. I teach you how to cut and sew, recreate beautiful styles. So today we are going to be recreating this beautiful outfit on this little child by Zany Middles. I saw this on TikTok and I absolutely loved it. So I'm going to be recreating this for my younger sister, but there will be some alterations. So if this is something you're interested in, you want to keep on watching, and let's get right into the video. So as you can see, I have my fabric on fold and I went ahead to mark out the body measurements vertically. Now I said earlier that there were going to be some alterations. On the thumbnail and on the video you could see that the gown was really short, but I'm not going to make mine short for my sister. It's going to be long. In between this tutorial, I am also going to tell you how exactly to make it look like what is on the thumbnail alongside the alterations that I'm going to do. If you want this to be short, just go ahead and take the measurement on the body, making sure that it's going to be comfortable. Now the next thing I'm going to do is mark on the shoulder line, the shoulder measurement divided by 2, and on that point I'm going to come down by 1 inch for the shoulder slant. Afterwards, we're going to mark the neck width of 3 inches and the neck depth of 3 inches as well. I'm going to use the curve ruler to draw the neck curve and then connect the shoulder slant to the neck width. I could change what you wanted. I wish that I could change what you wanted. I wish that I could change what you wanted. Next, from the shoulder slant, I am going to mark the armhole. If you don't know how to get your armhole curve, just divide your bust by 6 plus 1.5, and afterwards I'm going to use my ruler to roll a line on the marked point. So that is going to become the chest line. And on that line, I'm also going to remark the shoulder measurement and just connect it back to the top. I could change what you wanted. I wish that I could change what you wanted. I wish that I could change what you wanted. I wish that I could. Now on the chest line, I'm going to divide the bust measurement by 4 and I'll be adding 1.5 inch sewing allowance. Afterwards, I'm going to divide what I have from the shoulder slant to the chest line by 2, get the midpoint, and on that point I'm going to go inwards by 0.5 inch, just as you can see me do, and then proceed to draw out the armhole curve. Next, on the waistline, I'm going to mark the round waist measurement divided by 4. I'll be adding 1 inch for that allowance and 1.5 inch sewing allowance. And on the hip line as well, I'm going to mark the round hip measurement divided by 4 plus 1.5 inch sewing allowance. And then for that exaggerated feel, I am going to mark 2.5 inch. Now, what I just marked on the hip line is exactly what I'm going to mark on the full length of this dress. I'm sorry my camera did not capture that part, but whatever it is you marked on your hip line, just take it all the way to the full length of the dress. Next, I'm going to use my ruler to draw a line on the marked points. Next, on the waistline, I'm going to mark the nipple to nipple measurement divided by 2 and then share the 1 inch that allowance on both sides, ½ inch. And on the bust line, I'm going to come down by 1 inch and also on that point mark the nipple to nipple measurements divided by 2. After that is done, I'm going to go downwards from the waistline by 5 inches. That is where the dart is going to stop. And on that point of the 5 inch mark, I'm also going to mark the nipple to nipple measurement and then draw out the darts. Now that the dart is drawn, I am going to proceed now to cut out. I wish that I could change what you wanted. I wish that I could change what you wanted. I wish that I could change what you wanted. Why we always looking for more? Why we always looking for more? Now that we are done with the front, let's head on to the back. So for the back piece, I have my fabric on fold as well, and I pinned down the front piece to it because we're going to use that to cut out the back. The only difference is we're going to be adding a zipper allowance to the center back, and the neck measurement is going to be different. So the zipper allowance is 1 inch all the way from the neck down to the hem of the dress. And for the neck width, I used 3 inches as well. The only difference is that the neck depth, I used 1.5 inch. I said earlier that I was going to do some alterations to this outfit. If you noticed on the thumbnail, the neckline on the inspo is more of a Queen Anne neckline, but I decided to do a round neckline. So if you're going to do a Queen Anne neckline, just go ahead and measure above your chest line, depending on how covered you want the chest area to be. And then from the side front towards the armhole area, you mark 3 inches inwards towards the folded edge of your fabric, which is the center front. And then from that 3 inches points, just connect it slanted to your neck width. So this that I've just said is for the front piece. The back piece still remains the same, your 3 inches neck width and 1.5 inch neck depth. And your Queen Anne neckline would sit perfectly on your body. If you don't understand this, just let me know in the comment section and I'll do a full tutorial on it. Now that that is said and done, the next thing I'm going to do is on the waistline of this back piece, I'm going to come inwards by 0.5 inch. This is to eliminate every zip bulge we're going to have by the time we're done with the making of this dress. So by the time you mark that out, just connect it in a slanted direction, downwards and upwards, just as you see me do. Now we can go ahead to cut out. This is all for the back piece. I'm going to go ahead now to cut out lining pieces for this. I have done that, and when I was cutting this, I made sure that the lining piece was 1 inch shorter than the main fabric. This is so that by the time we're done sewing, this drags inwards such that you won't be able to see any sewing allowance at the bottom of the dress. So we're going to keep the back piece aside and start working on the front piece. Remember that we made this a round neck. I'm just going to alter this and give it a bit of an opening at the center. So from the neck depth, I'm going to come downwards again by 3 inches, and I'm going to mark the same on the lining piece and just slit that open on both pieces. The next thing to do is to place the main fabric and the lining piece right sides facing each other, and head over to the machine to stitch down the hem with 1/2 inch. Make sure that you place them equally and then stitch down with 1/2 inch. I'll go ahead to do that and come back to show you what next to do. Now that that is done, this is what it looks like. The next thing to do is to stitch down the neckline. So drag the lining piece as well to meet at the same point as the main fabric, and then close down the neckline with 1/2 inch. Do not touch the shoulders or the armhole. After that is done, go ahead to also close up the sides and then turn it outwards through the armhole. I'll go ahead to do that on my machine and then come back to show you what next to do. So this is what the front piece looks like after I was done sewing. You can see the neckline neatly stitched, also the sides and the hem of the dress. You can see that the lining is not showing at all. You can see the dragging we aimed at. This way it looks neat from the bottom. Now let's get on to the back piece. So we're going to do the same for the back just as we did for the front. You place the main fabric and the lining pieces right sides facing each other. You stitch down the hem, you stitch down the sides, the zipper allowance and the neckline using 1/2 inch. Do same for the other side of the back piece, and after that is done, I'll come back to show you what the next step is. Next, we're going to draw out the darts for the front piece just as we did when we were cutting. So you mark out the bust length and remember to go down by 1 inch. Mark the waist length and then from the waist length go down by 5 inches. Now on the waist length, we're going to mark the nipple to nipple measurement divided by 2 as well as other points. On the waist length, you're going to go on both sides by half inch and draw your darts. It's basically what we did earlier. So whatever you do on this part, you're going to repeat on the other side. So we're going to head over to the machine now to sew this down, the lining and fabric together just as you've drawn, and I'll come back to show you what next to do. As you can see, I've gone ahead to hold the darts. I also did same for the back piece as well. It was just the same process as what we did for the front. I also went ahead to close up the zipper allowance and ironed that flat. So now for the front, if you remember on the thumbnail, there was a welt pocket there, but I decided to make mine a fake welt pocket. There wasn't an actual pocket bag inside, it was just the pocket cover. So I've gone ahead to fix one just as you can see. On the other side, I would be explaining what I had done earlier so you can understand the process. Here is the piece of fabric I'm going to be using for the pocket cover. I've gone ahead to iron my gum stay on it, and in width it measures 6 inches and 5.5 inches in length. You can decide to do 6 by 6, making it a full square. You can see that I went ahead to use my iron to fold this into 2. Next, I'm going to turn this to the wrong side and head over to the machine to stitch both sides closed with 1/2 inch. Turn it to the right side and press it down with my iron. Alright, so I've gone ahead to do that. I'm going to be showing you where we would attach this. And we're going to be using the dart line for preference. So on the dart line, I'm going to go up by 1 inch just as you can see me mark. So I'm going to go ahead to notch the midpoint of the pocket cover and place it directly on the 1 inch mark, and that is where we're going to sew down with 1/2 inch. So I'm going to go ahead to do that now, and you guys have already seen the final result. So you can decide to top stitch on it by the time you're done. Now the next thing we're going to do is to place the front and the back piece right sides facing each other and sew down the sides with the sewing allowance that we kept. Next, I'm going to go ahead to sew down the shoulder. So take the front and the back shoulder, make sure that it's meeting fabric to fabric, lining to lining, and stitch down with 1/2 inch. So I'm going to go ahead to do that and come back to show you guys what the next step is. Our main bodice is ready. You can see it neatly done. This is the shoulder. You can see that the seams are hidden. It looks neat and pretty. I also went ahead to open up the zipper area just up to the length. I'm going to fix my zipper, so I'm going to go ahead to do that, and then we can come to work on the sleeve. Now onto the sleeve. I'd like to put a disclaimer out here. If you want your sleeve as exaggerated as what was on the thumbnail, because I didn't have enough fabric, so I couldn't totally recreate that. If you want yours as exaggerated as that, you might want to add more inches to what I am showing you here. So as you can already see, I have 10 inches on fold, and once you open that up, it's 20 inches. Likewise the length. So if you want this very exaggerated, you can go ahead to use anything from 18, 15, 20 inches. And then you can also see that I went ahead to iron my collar gum stay on this so that we can get that standing structure. And you can see that I didn't iron it all the way from the top to the bottom. I left a bit of allowance at the top and I left a bit of allowance at the bottom. Now the allowance at the bottom is for the elastic casing. For the lower part of the sleeve where you can see me measure, remember I said I did not have enough fabric, so make sure that when you're doing this, in order to get exactly what was on the thumbnail, what I just posted on the side of this video, make sure to have about 5-6 inches at the bottom of your sleeve. So it's going to give that standing effect and that form that you gave on the thumbnail from the inspo. Please make sure if you have a lining piece, you can go ahead to use your lining to turn this so that the collar gum stays not out in the open. So I'm going to go ahead to cut out the sleeve cap, and on that point I'm going to mark the armhole measurement and then gather what is left so it gives that full effect. Now I'm going to take this to my machine and sew up about 1 inch for my elastic casing. So this is what it looks like after I was done. I also gathered the sleeve cap enough to fit in the dress armhole. And remember, like I said, if your material is big enough, you have enough fabric, you can make this wider than this and it will come out more beautiful than this. So let's go ahead to attach it to the dress. So as you can see, I have attached the sleeve and the dress is ready. The only thing I'm going to do now is to embellish it so it looks really cute. So this is the dress before the embellishments on her. I just needed for you guys to see so you can see what we've been doing all along, and you will see the after just now. So thank you guys for watching. If you've watched up until this point, thank you so much for sticking by. Please do not forget to like, leave me a comment if you have any questions. I'll be waiting just to give an answer. Please share these videos to your friends, to the mommies that would love their kids to have a New Year's sleeve, and subscribe most importantly. Thank you guys for watching. I'll see you in my next video. Bye.